want to bring in now an American hero, Leah Hoops from Pennsylvania, from Bethel County Township. She's just an American citizen who volunteered to kind of went as a poll watcher. And what she saw from the beginning of the day shocked her and outraged her enough that she would go forward. And I would tell you, people, you don't understand. Once you come forward in this, that's when the threats start. Not just from the progressive, crazy left, but all around. And people, in your businesses and everything say, hey, isn't it just easier to let Leah go? Isn't it just easier not to promote Leah? Isn't it just, not to have him around? Because of this intense pressure. This is a profile in courage. This is what's contagious. She stepped forward at Gettysburg on the 25th of November. And that is why today we have some momentum because of an American citizen like Leah Hoops. This is what the fourth turning is all about. Remember, all these people are totally obscure. All now start to come onto the world stage, right? Because when it's your moment, you're going to have a decision. I can either, wave off or I can step forward. And fortune favors boldness. That was the motto of the Romans, of the Republic. Fortune favors the bold. I want to bring in now Leah Hoops from Bethel Township in Pennsylvania. Thank you. We're very honored to have you on. Tell us about what you saw and what happened that day, ma'am.
Well, first and foremost, it's quite humbling just to hear those words from you. So thank you so very much for bringing me on today. By no means is this easy. So where it all started was I was a poll watcher in my precinct, and from 7 o'clock in the morning and then on, there was nothing but issues with our scanners. One of them was actually broken down, and the other one, it would take 4 or 5 times to actually scan a ballot. And what had transpired was I was getting phone calls all day from my watchdog group and others in the county that they too were also having issues with their scanners as well across the county. And we couldn't get a hold of anyone on the election board to come and help us for hours. And then finally, when they did come, the problems were not resolved, and their statement from the voting warehouse supervisor was that there was an issue with the barcode, and that the barcodes were deformed. So it was never resolved, and they actually had a sheriff show up to our precinct with a new stack of ballots. It was about 500 ballots. And then from then on, it was craziness all day long. And then later on, there was a few of the other poll watchers who ended up at the counting center in Chester, Pennsylvania, and that's where it really just went downhill from there.
When you say went downhill, what do you mean?
So there's so much more for me to tell you, but we don't have enough time. But the counting center in itself is this. It was a transfer from our courthouse in Media, Pennsylvania, to where they used to count the ballots, to this multi-million-dollar facility that's in the middle of nowhere near loading docks that has multiple elevators and doors to get into and out of. It costs about $2.1 million to make this transfer happen to this building. So that's the start. But the main issue was that they had gotten down there, and there was a back room which had no observation, no line of sight. And it appears to where this is what they told us, that pre-canvassing was transpiring.
Okay, what made you come forward? I mean, what made you say, "Hey, I need to be able to tell this to the world. People need to hear this." What was it that inspired you to do that?
I feel that we are at a point now where and I remember Rush Limbaugh talking about where is the grassroots efforts, and I really feel like this comes down to the Republic taking back our country and our voice. And if I can be that person, then so be it. I mean, it only just takes one person. I never thought I would be on your show talking about this stuff, or having, special agents from the Attorney General's office showing up to my front door just for speaking the truth.
What do you mean by that? The Attorney General's office?
So I was actually at work and I had gotten a phone call from another observer and witness, my friend Greg, who testified in Gettysburg. They had shown up to his house, and then he had kind of given me a heads up that they were heading to my home. The whole story just didn't make any sense. They came completely unannounced, and they were, from what they said, investigating voter fraud. I didn't know if I was being investigated as the criminal or they were genuinely interested in my affidavit and what I saw.
Okay. Let me ask you one last thing. The legislators in Pennsylvania, there's this confusion now about are they going to stay over, et cetera. What would you like the state legislature to do in Pennsylvania? You're a Pennsylvania citizen. What do you think is the appropriate remedy here for the legislators in the House and the Senate? What would you recommend?
Well, quite honestly, to do their job as a representative, and that they recognize that the Republic is very angry, and that they can't certify this vote with all of the evidence that was presented. These are, we're American citizens. We're citizens of Pennsylvania who are risking everything to come forward and talk about what we saw, and we all had different vantage points. And how do you ignore that? It's not about the next election and how they can fix it. It's about right now and today. And for me, my biggest thing is the man who is shielding us and the man who is doing the right thing is our president. And they have a duty. They have a duty to us. They have a duty to the Constitution. And they talk about our forefathers, and it's about time that they actually act and do what these great men did, hundreds of years ago. They can't certify this vote. They can't certify the election, excuse me. And they need to do their job.
Leah, thank you very much for joining us on War Room Pandemic. Very inspirational.
Thank you so much for everything, and God bless America. God bless our president, and thank you again.